Have you ever paused for a moment to wonder if you can still lift a gallon of water without feeling strain in your arms, shoulders, or back? It sounds like a small act. After all, many of us spent years carrying children, groceries, or laundry without a second thought. But sometimes as life rolls on and birthdays stack up, little tasks like hoisting a gallon of water can unexpectedly become a big challenge. This moment can feel discouraging or even a bit frightening. But there's something empowering hidden inside this question. Whether you can comfortably lift that gallon reveals far more about your muscle age than you might think. The difference between easily lifting that jug and struggling can signal how well your body is holding on to its functional strength as you move through your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Why does it matter so much? Because these functional movements underpin the very things that make life feel like it's truly yours. Activities such as playing with grandchildren, cultivating a garden, or simply climbing the stairs at your pace. Feeling in control of your body in these everyday tasks is one of the simplest yet most profound ways to maintain independence and dignity. When you can lift that gallon of water with confidence, you're not just gaining physical strength, you're holding on to the freedom to do the things you love on your own terms for as long as possible. Perhaps you've noticed a bit of stiffening in your joints, or that you get tired faster than you did even 5 years ago. Or maybe you've accepted common assumptions like, well, this is just what happens when you get older. But here's the key insight. What's often blamed on age could be more accurately attributed to underused muscles or outdated ideas about how we should treat our bodies in our later years. Muscle strength and mass do change over time, but they do not have to evaporate with every birthday. In fact, with the right approaches, you can retain and sometimes even reclaim a surprising amount of strength. In a few moments, you'll discover 5 essential strategies that challenge the typical misconceptions about senior muscle health. We'll explore how to recognize the real signals your body gives you and how to respond in ways that nurture and protect your muscles, rather than letting them decline from disuse or fear of injury. This isn't about pumping iron like a professional athlete or pushing yourself to extremes. It's about staying vigilant and resourceful so that your body can support the life you want to lead. We'll cover practical steps that can be adapted to your personal comfort level and physical condition. You'll find that regaining the capacity to lift that gallon of water without strain is more than possible. Over the years, I've learned that the most powerful changes often come from a blend of good information and patient, steady action. Our bodies are designed to adapt at any age, provided we give them the right incentives, rest, and nourishment. I've seen countless seniors transform their daily routines just by introducing small, consistent tweaks. These seemingly minor shifts can keep you agile, confident, and prepared for life's everyday tasks, so that a gallon jug or a heavy shopping bag no longer seems like a barrier to enjoyment. As you listen, I invite you to reflect on your own experiences. Have you ever passed up an activity you used to enjoy, thinking it was no longer suitable for you? Perhaps you've wondered if there's a more sustainable way to keep your muscles strong without risking injury. Each of the next 5 sections will unfold a powerful principle that can help you preserve muscle strength, protect against discomfort, and extend your years of independent living. By the end, you may find yourself motivated to take a fresh look at what's possible for you, no matter your chronological age. If you're ready to put aside old limiting beliefs and embrace a more active, fulfilling lifestyle, keep watching. The 5 points you're about to learn can set the stage for a remarkable shift, not just in your physical strength, but in the way you feel about your future. And it all starts with reimagining what that humble gallon of water really represents. Let's explore how you can make it feel lighter again and, in the process, lift your sense of independence and well-being. Let's begin by looking at one of the biggest misconceptions about muscle loss as we age, and how challenging it can be if we accept myths instead of solutions. Many people believe that muscle decline is simply part of getting older, an inevitable slide that can't be reversed. I'd like to invite you to let go of that belief and find out what's truly possible. It all starts with understanding your real muscle age, and not just the number on your birth certificate. A lot of seniors grow up hearing some version of, "It's time to slow down after 65. It's an idea that's been passed through generations, and it can seep into your mindset so that you believe that any physical difficulty is just par for the course. But imagine Susan, who turned 70 last year. She'd always been active in her own way, puttering around the house, cooking family meals, and tending to her little corner garden. Still, she noticed she was feeling weaker in her upper body. Simple tasks, like lifting a gallon of milk, started to make her arm muscles tremble. Her friend said, "That's normal. We can't do these things forever." Susan wondered if it had to be that way. As she began researching, she discovered something that turned her entire mindset around. While our muscles do tend to lose mass over time, especially if we sit more than we move, they are also incredibly adaptive. A healthcare professional encouraged her to try small daily exercises with light resistance bands. She began by doing just a few minutes of guided movements that gently challenged her arms, shoulders, and core. At first, she doubted these small efforts would make much difference. She'd heard it all before. Nothing helps once you're in your 70s. But 2 weeks in, she realized she could pick up that gallon of milk with a little more ease. By the end of the month, she was lifting it with confidence. What changed? The myth that older bodies can't respond well to exercise was replaced with a proven truth. Muscles remain trainable at any age. Scientific studies show that even individuals in their 80s and 90s can gain muscle strength through low-impact, consistent exercises. When we talk about your true muscle age, it's more about your muscle usage, your exercise habits, and the small, consistent ways you maintain strength than the date on your birth certificate. The practical advice here is to begin exactly where you are, and not a step further. If it's been a long time since you've challenged your muscles, start by lifting very light objects, maybe a half-filled water bottle or 1-pound weights. Over time, gradually increase your load. Even 3 to 5 minutes a day of purposeful muscle engagement can signal your body to hold on to strength instead of letting it slip away. You're not trying to become a bodybuilder. Your goal is to gently nudge your muscles to stay active. The physical benefit is obvious. You'll be better able to handle everyday items such as grocery bags, laundry baskets, and yes, gallons of water. The emotional benefit is perhaps even more significant. You may find yourself feeling stronger in spirit when you realize that you don't have to relinquish your capabilities just because the years are moving forward. It's the difference between dreading daily tasks and approaching them with a sense of calm assurance. If you've been hesitating or assuming it's too late, I challenge that assumption right now. Think about one small step you can take today: lifting a tin of soup repeatedly for a few reps, or gently using a resistance band while seated. You may be surprised at how quickly your muscles respond when given even the smallest invitation. And as Susan learned, flipping the script on what's inevitable can reintroduce a sense of excitement and gratitude in your daily life. Now let's look more closely at how to measure progress in a safe, empowering way. Because once you know it's possible to hang on to muscle strength, you need to know how to assess your own baseline and watch it improve. There's a common misconception that you must endure a complicated, high-intensity workout routine to maintain or improve your muscle strength in older adulthood. Many seniors think, "I'm too fragile," or "I don't have the stamina for that," so they avoid any form of strength testing or exercise. But there's a middle ground between grueling gym sessions and total inactivity. Meet George, a 75-year-old who wanted to be able to carry groceries more easily, but was afraid of overdoing it. George was already dealing with a bit of arthritis in his wrists, making him skittish about lifting anything heavier than a loaf of bread. He assumed that any test of his strength would lead to pain or even a fall. Yet he also remembered a time when carrying 2 gallons of water from his driveway to the kitchen was no problem at all. So, with some guidance, George started simple, using the sit-to-stand test as his initial benchmark. He placed a sturdy chair by a table and timed how many times he could move from a seated position to a full stand in 30 seconds. The first time, he managed only 5. He noticed his thighs trembling and realized he'd been underestimating just how much muscle he'd lost by avoiding certain tasks. Yet that simple benchmark became a friendly challenge. Every few days, he'd retest, motivated by the knowledge that all he had to do was beat his own number. By the 3rd week, he was able to stand up 7 times in 30 seconds. This small improvement became a big source of pride, reminding him that his body was adapting. As his leg strength rose, he tried lightly gripping and lifting small weights, or water bottles, to gauge the strength in his wrists and forearms. Once again, the incremental progress, like a single additional rep or fewer twinges of pain, proved that he had more potential than he initially believed. The key evidence-based insight here is that you don't need fancy machines or elaborate gym memberships to gauge and enhance your strength. Functional tests like the sight to stand or even a timed step test can paint a clear picture of where you stand. These movements reflect real-world tasks, rising from a chair, climbing stairs, carrying objects from one room to another. If you feel unsure about how to start, consider asking a friend or family member to spot you. One practical tip is to keep a small journal or notebook where you record the number of repetitions, the amount of weight, or the time it takes to complete a task. Over days or weeks, these numbers can become a powerful motivator because they show steady improvement. The physical benefits of such testing are straightforward. You'll get stronger by consistently challenging your muscles in functional ways. Emotionally, you're nurturing independence and a sense of competence. Instead of fearing the unknown, am I getting weaker? You'll track your progress and make decisions based on real data about your capabilities. That's an empowering position to be in, especially when we're used to hearing all the negative stereotypes about age. If you've never tried a functional self-assessment before, consider giving it a go. Think about a daily task that currently feels challenging, like picking up a case of water from the floor or lifting a half-gallon pot in the kitchen. Start with something that's only slightly outside your comfort zone and measure how you do this week versus next. Over time, you'll see that small changes add up to real functional gains. Before we move on, I'd love to know, have you ever tested yourself this way, or is the idea entirely new? Reflect on one daily chore that sometimes feels heavier than you'd like. That can be your starting point. We'll now move into how everyday activities can become mini workouts that strengthen your muscles without requiring a formal exercise program, so you can incorporate beneficial movements throughout the day without any fuss. It's easy to think that improving muscle strength means you have to spend hours in a fitness class or invest in complex home equipment. But a surprising number of everyday tasks can become an opportunity to build or maintain muscle if you approach them with a bit of intention. Kathy, 72, has never stepped foot in a traditional gym. She doesn't use weight machines or treadmills, yet she has found clever ways to incorporate muscle-building activities into her daily routine. A common misconception Kathy once believed was that if she wasn't doing real exercise, she wasn't helping her body. She used to cook for her large family gatherings, thinking nothing of lifting heavy pots or kneading dough, activities that require arm and upper back strength. After her children moved away, she cooked less frequently, and without realizing it, she lost a regular source of muscle stimulation. She noticed her arms feeling weaker and started experiencing slight strains when lifting her groceries. She felt stuck, thinking she'd have to start an official strength program she didn't want. Then she learned that even simple household chores could serve as mini exercise sessions if done in a mindful way. For instance, when Kathy picks up a heavy pot now, she does it with slow, deliberate form, keeping her core engaged and her shoulders back. She also decided to start cooking larger batches of meals once a week so that she'd have a chance to lift heavier pots and transfer them carefully to the stove. Washing dishes became a time to stand on her toes for a few seconds at intervals, subtly training her calves. When she's done, she does a quick set of countertop push-ups. No fancy workout gear required, just her kitchen counter and a mindfully braced core. The evidence-based perspective supports this approach. The human body is designed to be active in many different ways, and the more we integrate movement into daily tasks, the more we keep our muscles engaged. For older adults, it can be an especially good strategy because it avoids the intimidation or fatigue that can come with structured hour-long workouts. Plus, it's far more likely to become a habit when woven into things you already do. Think of activities like gardening, walking up and down the driveway to get the mail, or carrying laundry up a small set of stairs. Each of these, done with proper posture and gentle consistency, can go a long way toward preserving muscle strength. Physically, you'll notice that chores become less taxing over time, and you'll be able to complete them without pausing to rest every few minutes. Emotionally, you gain the satisfaction that comes from self-reliance. You're not waiting for someone else to do everything for you. You remain the active participant in your own life, reinforcing a sense of dignity and control. To make this practical, take a quick inventory of your daily routines. Choose one chore, maybe vacuuming or gardening, and turn it into a mini workout by adding an extra step or two. For vacuuming, you might hold the vacuum in one hand for a bit, then switch sides to balance your arm use. For gardening, you could pause after placing a plant in the soil and stand up slowly, tightening your leg muscles. These microactions may sound negligible, but over weeks or months, they add up and support the overall strength you need to live independently. Before we dive into our next point, which involves the critical role of nutrition in muscle health, here's a quick question for you. Can you think of one household task you do almost every day? Now imagine doing that task with an extra moment of attention to your posture and muscle engagement. It could be as simple as bracing your core and shoulder blades when carrying a full laundry basket, or focusing on controlled breathing while you wipe down the countertops. Keep that idea in mind. You might find it revolutionizes the way you view everyday movements. Let's take a moment to reflect and regroup. So far, we've talked about busting the myth of irreversible muscle loss, assessing your baseline in practical ways, and turning daily chores into opportunities for subtle strength training. If you're feeling excited, or even a bit uncertain, about trying these ideas, remember that any step forward is progress. Life isn't about perfection, it's about continuity and adapting as needed. Ready to keep going? In the next section, we'll look at how what you eat can either support or sabotage your muscle health. This isn't about a fancy diet, it's about leveraging the nutrients that best fit older bodies to keep muscles resilient. Many older adults assume that the only way to keep muscles healthy is through lifting weights. They don't always realize how critical nutrition is. Perhaps you've heard stories about needing more protein as you age, but you're unsure if that's really true, or worry that you might be forced into eating tasteless meals of plain chicken. Let's look at James, a 78-year-old retiree who was strong his whole life, until his 70s crept in. He began feeling more fatigued, and his arms seemed to lose their tone almost overnight. He told himself it was just age, but a nutrition-savvy granddaughter pointed out that he was barely getting 40 grams of protein a day, mostly from processed meats that weren't giving him the amino acids he needed for muscle repair. James had believed a common misconception, that you can eat the same way you did in your 30s and 40s, and your body's needs don't change. In reality, seniors often require slightly higher protein intake to counteract the natural decline in muscle mass. With his granddaughter's help, James started adding simple, protein-rich foods to his meals: scrambled eggs in the morning, beans or lentils at lunch, lean chicken or fish at dinner. He also learned that consuming protein in smaller, balanced portions throughout the day, rather than one large serving at dinner, helps maintain a steady supply of essential nutrients. Within a month, James noticed a difference in how he felt during his daily walk. He was less winded, and his arms and legs didn't feel as heavy. His posture improved simply because his core muscles had the nutrition they needed. Just as importantly, he found that these changes didn't mean sacrificing taste. He discovered seasonings like herbs and spices could make meals both healthier and more flavorful. With each nutritious meal, James was fueling his muscles to rebuild and stay active. Beyond protein, certain vitamins and minerals also play a role in muscle function. Vitamin D, for instance, supports muscle and bone health. Foods like fatty fish, egg yolks, and fortified cereals can help. Calcium and magnesium are essential to prevent muscle cramps and maintain overall function, so adding leafy greens, nuts, and seeds is beneficial. If you're concerned about how certain foods interact with medications you're on, a quick chat with a healthcare provider can help you avoid issues like interference with absorption or side effects. The emotional benefit of a well-rounded diet is feeling more in tune with your body's needs. Rather than resigning yourself to the idea that you can't lift that gallon of water because you're just getting old, you'll recognize that your muscles may simply need better fuel. Physically, good nutrition is like providing the right building materials for a house. Your muscles can't rebuild or maintain themselves without the correct resources. If you're thinking of practical steps, start small. Add one source of lean protein to one meal a day, maybe a handful of walnuts with your breakfast oatmeal. Explore easy ways to incorporate legumes like lentil soup or a side of beans at lunch. and pay attention to hydration as well. Dehydrated muscles are more prone to cramps and fatigue, so aim for consistent fluid intake throughout the day, especially if you're also exercising or adding more movement to your daily chores. Think about a typical day's meals. Is there room for a high-protein snack, like yogurt, or a protein-rich veggie option, such as edamame? Or could you switch out a sugary snack for something that supports your muscle health instead? Small dietary tweaks often go a long way in delivering the nutrients your muscles crave. Stay mindful of how these changes work together with your daily movement strategies. Muscle building and maintenance don't happen in isolation. Exercise and nutrition are partners in preserving your strength. That idea leads us right into our final point: how to personalize and protect your progress, especially if you're managing chronic conditions or dealing with changes in mobility. It's easy to believe that once you have arthritis, osteoporosis, or some other chronic condition, your days of improving muscle strength are over. That fear can lead to inactivity, which only accelerates the loss of muscle tone. But meet Carolyn, an 80-year-old with moderate osteoarthritis in her knees. She once believed the worst thing she could do was move too much, afraid that any extra movement would damage her joints further. So she followed a self-imposed rule: stay still, don't strain. Over time, this caused her leg muscles to weaken significantly, making even standing from a chair a risky endeavor. After a concerning fall, Carolyn's doctor suggested supervised physical therapy to gently strengthen her leg muscles. Initially, Carolyn was skeptical because she felt any knee movement would cause pain, but the physical therapist guided her through small movements that specifically targeted muscles around the joint, offering them better support. For example, a seated leg lift with minimal resistance or a gentle cycling motion on a stationary bike allowed her joints to move in a controlled range. These exercises improved circulation and slowly rebuilt muscle around the knee. Within a few months, Carolyn noticed her pain was more manageable, not worse, and she could stand up from her favorite armchair without wincing. A vital takeaway from Carolyn's story is that adaptability is key. The misconception is thinking a chronic condition equals the end of movement. In truth, there is almost always a modified approach. It might involve shorter exercise sessions, lighter resistance, or a focus on low-impact activities such as swimming or chair yoga. The evidence-based perspective underscores that staying immobile is often the bigger risk, as it can lead to faster loss of muscle mass and bone density. Practically, if you're dealing with a chronic condition, your first step might be a conversation with a health professional. Discuss which exercises are safe and ask for modifications. If a full push-up is out of reach, a wall push-up may be appropriate. If you can't do a full squat, you can do a partial squat while holding on to a stable piece of furniture for support. The key is consistency, not intensity. Even small muscle contractions done regularly can signal your body to maintain or build strength. Emotionally, taking charge of your exercise routine, no matter how small, puts you in the driver's seat. It replaces fear of pain or re-injury with a sense of cautious optimism. You'll begin to trust your body again and see that it's willing to cooperate as long as you treat it wisely. By tailoring your approach to your specific condition, you respect your limits without giving up on improvement. One tip to protect your progress is to maintain a simple log of any symptoms or pain flare-ups. Notice which exercises help and which might need adjusting. This reflective practice helps you pinpoint what's effective and fosters a sense of accomplishment when you see gradual but meaningful changes, like being able to walk slightly farther, carry that gallon of water, or stand up more quickly. So, if you've been reluctant to move because of a chronic issue, let Carolyn's experience remind you: movement, when done safely and thoughtfully, is often the solution, not the problem. Just because you face a particular limitation doesn't mean you can't customize a path toward greater strength. That's not wishful thinking. It's a scientifically supported strategy. At this point, you've learned how to challenge outdated beliefs about muscle decline, evaluate and improve your strength through simple tests, use daily tasks as exercise opportunities, fuel your body with the right nutrients, and adapt to physical limitations through personalized strategies. Now let's piece everything together and look at how you can take these ideas forward in a purposeful way, without fear, but with confidence in what you can still achieve. When you consider all the points we've covered, a promising picture emerges. Even if lifting a gallon of water feels challenging right now, there's a clear pathway to change that. Each small effort you make, whether it's doing a few leg lifts while seated, writing down your daily protein intake, or mindfully lifting household objects, adds up. And the result goes beyond just being able to carry groceries more comfortably. It's a sense that your body can still serve you well, allowing you to engage in activities that give life its color and purpose. This doesn't mean you have to rush into a new routine tomorrow or overhaul every aspect of your lifestyle overnight. Instead, see these 5 strategies as a toolkit. If you're ready to take immediate action, start with the tip that feels easiest or most appealing. Maybe that's turning one of your daily chores into a mini workout. If you're more concerned about your diet, begin by increasing your protein in small increments. If you're worried about mobility issues, speak to a healthcare provider about safe modifications. And if you're looking to assess your progress, give that sit-to-stand test a try and track how many times you can stand up unassisted in 30 seconds. The urgency comes from recognizing that maintaining muscle mass and strength is far easier than trying to rebuild it after prolonged inactivity. Every month you wait is a month your muscles might atrophy, making those first steps toward rebuilding a little tougher. But there's no need for panic. Consistency often wins the day. Small actions done regularly can, over time, create lasting independence. The key is to start before a real crisis hits, like a fall, an injury, or a sudden realization that you can no longer manage tasks you once did without a second thought. Imagine what life could look like if 3 months from now, you're able to lift that gallon of water confidently, open the pickle jar on your own, or walk up a flight of stairs without pausing for breath. Picture the smile on your face or the delight in a grandchild's eyes when you can get down on the floor to play and then get up again with relative ease. Those are the real rewards, simple but deeply satisfying freedoms that make each day more joyful. If you feel ready, consider taking a multi-layered approach. Perhaps your first step is to share this information with a friend and make it a joint effort. Accountability can be a motivator. Imagine comparing notes with a friend who's also working to stay fit and noticing how your collective efforts pay off. Next, you might schedule a brief chat with your healthcare provider to confirm that the exercises or dietary changes you have in mind are well suited for you. Finally, look for small but meaningful ways to celebrate your wins along the way. Maybe jotting down each new rep you achieve, or rewarding yourself with a relaxing activity whenever you complete a week of consistent movement. Above all, remember that you're not defined by the aches, pains, or limitations society often associates with getting older. You have the ability to tune in to your body's cues, adapt accordingly, and keep nurturing the muscles that support your freedom and dignity. Aging is a natural process, but losing independence doesn't have to be. Each day you choose to move mindfully, nourish your body, or test your progress, you're actively building a future where you remain in control of your own life. So what's next? If you're comfortable with it, try one of the tips you've heard today, or simply take a moment to reflect on what independence really means to you and how staying strong will help you enjoy it for years to come. Your muscles are waiting for that daily invitation to engage, and with every gentle challenge you offer them, you're telling your body, I'm still here, and I'm ready to thrive. You've got this. Even if you're starting slowly, even if you're unsure, know that it's never too late to reclaim the strength you might have thought was gone. A small step forward today can preserve and even expand the range of possibilities for tomorrow. And that truly is what it means to keep your muscle age younger than your chronological age, staying capable, confident, and proud of every year you've lived.